For students in kindergarten to grade 2, the group size has been reduced as close to 15 as possible. Grades 3 to 5 has been reduced as close as possible to 22, and grades 6 to 8 class size will remain normal. The lower class size at the younger years also will allow teachers more individual time with each student to help close the gaps that this age group may have experienced during the closure. We know from feedback of parents and teachers that this group was most problematic during the online learning during the full shutdown this spring. Physical distancing is not expected in the classroom, but it is required in the common areas. Specialty teachers like gym, music, and supply teachers will be required to physically distance at all times when working with students and other staff. If this isn't possible, they will be required to wear masks. Class groups will be required to physically distance from other groups and students outside of their classroom by 2 meters. Equipment that is used by multiple groupings, such as physical education equipment or computers, will be cleaned after the use of each group. Although classroom groupings will not interact with students from other groupings, there may be some options for online learning between the groups. We recognize this isn't easy, especially for students with friends outside their classroom grouping, but it is important that we keep our learning environments as safe as we possibly can for everyone. We touched on the use of community masks already through these briefings, but as a reminder, all students and staff in the K-12 system will be required to bring 2 clean community masks to school with them every day unless they have been advised by a medical health professional not to wear one. Requirements related to mask use for students will vary depending on the grade level. For K-5 students, masks won't be required in the classroom grouping, but will be encouraged in the common areas like hallways. Students in grades 6 to 8 won't need to wear a mask while in the classroom, but they will be required to wear one in the common areas, including on the bus, unless they are sitting with a member of their household. It is important for students to remember that masks aren't meant to be a replacement for physical distancing. While physical distancing isn't required in the classroom groupings, it is required in the common areas. For school staff in the K-8 system, masks aren't required for teachers within the classrooms, but are required in those common areas. I'm very happy today to also be able to share with you the details around music education. We are still finalizing the details around music extracurricular activities. You can find the full details in Appendix E on our full return to school document located on the EECD website. I have to admit this has unquestionably been one of the most complex issues that we've navigated. We all know the importance and value of music, so we're pleased to share the following today. Students in kindergarten to grade 8 will participate in music class within their class groupings and maintain 2-meter physical spacing from other groupings. Students in grade 9 to 12 will maintain physical distancing of 2 meters while participating in music class or other musical activities. Singing will be permitted in K-8 groupings. However, students should sing softly or increase their physical distance if indoors. Students in grades 9 to 12 should sing outdoors, weather permitting, or in large spaces to ensure they can properly distance. Singing softly is also encouraged. The sharing of musical instruments will be permitted, however, they must be cleaned and disinfected between each use. Please note that there will be additional precautions surrounding the use of wind instruments and the cleaning. For all grade levels, music class should take place outdoors as much as possible. When weather permits this, alternate spaces may be used as long as all health and safety protocols are applied. Proper hand sanitization is required prior to and exiting the space where music is taught. It certainly is going to be a different year, and one that will require all of us to be a little bit more patient and a little more flexible. If we can do that, I am confident that the 2021 school year will be a great year. With that, I'm going to turn over to my colleague Marcel to bring you information about what the families can expect and the information on the Francophone sector. Thank you.
Thank you, George. I would also like to take this opportunity to wish students teachers a great year. We know that they have the capacity to adjust to different circumstances. Maybe we've never tried this before, but I know that together we will make sure to give a quality education to the students in the province while respecting health and safety of all. Just like George said, the idea of grouping students is to limit the size groups to protect health and safety of all. It will also enable us to do some contact tracing more easily. Within those class groupings, there won't be any physical distancing required, so the youth will be able to play, to do crafts, and to do group work throughout the day. They will share school supplies in class, but if possible, we recommend students to have their own school supplies. If school supplies are shared within the group, they must be cleaned at the end of the day. A 2-meter distance should be maintained between two groups. The equipment used by several groups, such as phys ed equipment or computers, will be cleaned after the use by each group. This model is similar to the one that's been used since the reopening of early learning centers in last May. The size of the group depends on the grade. So there will be a reduced size group from kindergarten to second grade to as close as 15 as possible. For grade 3 to 5, it will be 22 students, and it will be normal for grades 8 to 8. The requirements about the masks will depend on the grade. From K to 5, students won't have to wear a mask within their groups, but they will be encouraged to do so in common spaces, just like hallways. Students from grade 6 to 8 won't have to wear a mask, but they will have to wear one in common spaces, including in the school bus, unless they are sitting with a family member or on their own. Activities fostering awareness to health and safety will be integrated in the curriculum to show students how to wash their hands, sneeze, and cough, and other age-appropriate means to reduce physical contacts. Our goal is to reduce as much as possible the impact on classroom experience. School will be different, yes, but we will keep on offering quality learning while having a safe working and learning environment. The department also knows that musical education is important in the development of students of all ages. It helps students express their creativity and improve their wellness and their mental health. It is a useful and valuable tool that fosters the development of students and the development of their language skills. We know that arts and culture is essential to students if we want to make sure that French schools are a tool to build their identities. This must be present. So, as it is the case for many other parts of the school experience, music classes will be different during this year. The musical instruments will need to be cleaned and disinfected after each use under the supervision of the teacher. If that's not possible, the equipment will not be made available to common use. Wind instrument and singing will be allowed as long as the health and safety measures, including physical distancing, cleaning, are respected. During the class, the students won't be placed face-to-face directly. They will need to keep a physical distance of at least 2 meters, including the instrument, and better still 4 meters when they're using a wind instrument. Students from K to 8 will have their music class within their group and will keep a 2-meter distance with other groups. Singing softly is encouraged even within the same class grouping. As for any other equipment that is shared within a class grouping, musical instruments can be used with the exception of wind instruments that will have a different cleaning protocol. And the equipment will need to be cleaned before another class grouping can use it. Grade 9 to 12 students will maintain a 2-meter physical distance during music class, and the instruments will need to be cleaned between every student, and that excludes the wind instruments that will need to be cleaned under the supervision of the music teacher before it can be lent to another student. If we cannot have a music class outside because of the temperature, the class will be held somewhere else, provided that all the health and safety measures are applied. It is necessary to sanitize our hands before entering the music class and while leaving the music class. And all the musical instruments will have to be cleaned between the two groups, between every group. K to 8 students will be able to sing within their bubble while inside, weather permitting. The students will be encouraged to sing softly and to increase their physical distance when they sing inside, even inside their bubble. It is recommended to students from grade 9 to 12 to sing outside, weather permitting, to make sure that there is physical distancing. It is also recommended to sing softly and not to be placed face to face. And maybe the singing groups will have to be smaller so that singing can be done with a physical distance. And we will consider other extracurricular musical activities later. So, teaching will be different next year, but the students will have the opportunity to explore their creativity. We are confident that this will enable the students and the staff to take advantage of a musical education in a safe way.
In the language of your choice. Nous allons maintenant procéder aux questions.
So we will now move on to questions. Every journalist has one question, and the questions can be asked in the language of your choice.
I'm wondering, will you be limiting substitute teachers to working in a certain number of schools? And how will supply teaching be organized this year? And do you feel there are enough supply teachers returning to handle teacher absences?
If you go to our full document online, Vicky, you will see the masking and spacing requirements for each one of the staff members. There is a specific classification there for supply teachers or visiting teachers, because we do have experts in other areas that travel to schools periodically to provide a higher level of expertise for certain students. So they fall into that category, so that's there. We know coming into the pandemic that we've had a struggle acquiring enough teachers in the system. We have hired 154 more teachers out of that pool last year, so we do expect that supply teaching is going to be a challenge. We are exploring what options that we could look at to perhaps approach things slightly different there this year. There's still some work to be done on that, and we are actively recruiting to look to see if there are professionals out there who would be interested in coming into the education field. So there's work going on inside of central government and those types of discussions.
Thank you, George. Marcel?
Afin d'assurer
To ensure that supply teachers can participate safely to the school system, we have put in place some parameters. To answer the question about availability of supply teachers, because we have added about 150 teachers in the province to reduce the number of students per class at the primary school level, we have created a need. So I am using this opportunity to tell people that if you that it would be good for you to come forward if you wanted to become a supply teacher.
The new busing plan will require some children, particularly in rural areas, to walk longer distances, in some cases without a sidewalk, which has some parents of younger children concerned. Are you fielding those concerns from parents, and are you adapting bus routes to accommodate students who might feel unsafe with the new bus stop routes proposed to them?
Busing certainly was a challenge to put together, process and a system that we felt was safe and comfortable. When we originally looked at this with the potential of 14,000 students not having service, it was certainly very concerning to us. So, we were very thankful with the support of parents who withdrew the service request. That still left districts with need to change bus stops, and that has created a situation where potentially two stops may have been turned into one, and a student may have to walk a little bit longer of a distance to get to that stop. I know the districts are dealing with those concerns. That is something that is organized and administered at the district level. So those conversations and concerns still are going on, and conversations back with the district representatives.
Thank you, George. Mia Urquhart, CBC, your first question, please.
Thank you. The return to school document for districts and schools says school personnel will be provided with face shields, but we've heard that some schools have been told that all staff won't be provided face shields. So can you clarify that, please?
Yeah, Mia, if you want to send me the exact schools that are getting that information, I would be very interested in it. Our message has been very clear that all schools, all teachers, all EAs will be provided with face shields. We have submitted the orders. My understanding from the order updates, if they're not already here, they're on their way, and they will be there for teachers and staff.
Thank you, George. Mia, do you have a follow-up?
I do. On August 13th, the Education Minister announced a ban on singing and wind instruments. So can you explain the change in the policy since then to today?
I think, Mia, it's a great example of what we've told you since the start, that we've got a living document, and we're working closely with public health to try to reduce risk, facilitate contact tracing, and get our children back to as close a level of normal as we can while keeping them safe. You will see when you go to our documents that this is not a wide open go back to normal using instruments and singing of the past. There are protocols, practices put around it. There are extra cleaning restrictions put in. And as I indicated when I started, this certainly was the most challenging aspect that we have dealt with here to try to be able to bring this back to our schools.
Thank you, George. Marcel?
Merci pour la question.
Thank you for the question. This reflects very well the fact that we indicated that we have living documents. Our positions will have to adapt along the singing and wind instrument issue. Well, we said in the document that we wouldn't allow that. That was our position a couple of weeks ago, but we have spent a lot of time with public health working with them to identify all the research that has been done around this to see if we could change that position. So we were able to change this to... So this will definitely change the reality of high school students, because it comes with measures for cleaning and disinfecting and distance. That will not make things easy for high schools, but it will help the situation, and it will help teachers adapt to their new reality.
Your first question, please. Savannah?
Sorry. Oh, hi. Sorry. Hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you now. Thank you.
Great. I should know how to work this thing by now, shouldn't I? So I've heard from a few parents just about the back-to-school plans, the individual school plans won't be released until Friday. They don't have any of the scheduling. And they've just said that that's a problem because it doesn't give them a lot of time to make arrangements for daycares and other childcare options. I'm just wondering, is any scheduling information able to come from schools before Friday?
There's actually two different pieces of information, Savannah. I know, and because I've seen the communication out on social media, a lot of schools have already released scheduling information to parents. Operational plans, which is the actual functioning of how the building is going to work inside, transitions. If you go to that full document that's on our ECD site, I think it makes up 15 or 16 pages of it, and by the time principals fill it out, it's going to be much longer than that. That's the document that is going to be released on Thursday to the entire system. There was a choice to release it at a uniform date across the province, so we were not unfairly pressuring one school or the other. So I would suggest those parents that have concerns reach out to their school principal, and I would suggest they most likely could get that information that they're looking for, but the full operational plans will all be released at the same time.
Thank you, George. Marcel?
On peut comprendre que
We can understand that there's confusion, and that's normal because there has already been information published by schools around the schedules and with the school bus. So parents have some of the answers. The operational plan that should come out on Thursday will clarify a lot of things. Schools are building these with the staff to make sure that everything is clear and that parents will be well informed on all the details around back to school. Thank you, Marcel.
Yes, thank you. I'm just wondering if there is any updates just on how the recent funding from the federal government, $20 million for this semester, what that might be going towards, I guess, where you see the big items being for that fund.
Yeah, I think the number was 40 million, Savannah. That has been announced. No, we're still getting details from our federal counterparts on that. I would suggest that there will be some more conversations with us and a chance to sit down to flesh those details out, but we don't have anything to release at this moment.
Thank you, George. Thank you, Savannah. Elizabeth Fraser, CBC, your first question, please.
Hi there. I'm just wondering if you can tell me how much extra money is the Department of Education
spending on personal protective equipment and cleaning supplies for schools?
Elizabeth, if you would send that question to us via email. I didn't bring my sheet today with the breakdown of all the financials, but we'd be able to share that answer with you. We know it's a substantial amount of money, but again, there are projections and those things get adjusted on a weekly basis. So we'd like to give you the exact info. So just send that off to Danielle or I. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Elizabeth, do you have a follow-up?
I'm also wondering, have any schools added portable classrooms to try and increase the number of students? And if so, how many and at what cost?
There are portables added to buildings every year. That process would have continued again this year. I don't have a number of additional portables that would have been added because of our COVID response. What I can tell you is that we did use a substantial amount of other spaces within schools that may not formally have been classrooms, and we have had some rooms that have been equipped or turned into classroom facilities. So as for the full number, I'm not sure if the districts have reported that exact number to us, but again, that's something, if you follow up with us, we can ask the question and get back to you on.
Thank you, George. Thank you, Elizabeth.
That concludes today's update. Our next update will be held on Thursday, September 3rd. Thank you. Voilà la fin de notre mise à jour à notre prochaine.
This concludes our today's update, and next update will take place on Thursday, September 3rd. Thank you.